What's going on, guys? Sharpshot here. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. So for today's video, we're going to be looking at what I think are the two best information perks in Dead by Daylight in Empathy and Kindred, and we're going to be looking at which one is better. So pretty much I'm going to be looking at the pros and cons for each perk, and then at the end of the video I'm going to be giving my pick on which perk I think is better. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So before I go into the pros and cons of each perk, I just want to quickly explain how each perk actually works. So we're going to start off by Empathy, which is Claudette's first teachable that you unlock at level 30. Empathy is a pretty simple perk. Pretty much whenever someone gets injured, you see them for the entirety of when they're injured. They just pop up as yellow little people on your screen. And for the three tiers, you see them from 64, 96, and 128 meters away. Moving on to Kindred. Kindred is a free perk that everybody has unlocked in their blood web to start off. Pretty much when someone gets hooked at tier 3, within a 16-meter circle around the hook, you see the killer's aura, and then you also get to see everybody else's aura around the map. And if you get hooked as the person with Kindred, everybody else gets that same effect. So I'm going to be looking at the pros and cons of Empathy first. The first big pro Empathy has is that at tier 3 you get to see survivors when they're injured up to 128 meters. 128 meters might not seem super far, but in regards to the maps in DBD, if you're standing at one corner and the other survivor that's injured is standing at the opposite corner of the map from you, there's only a couple maps that you won't be able to see them from off by like 1 or 2 meters. Anywhere you are in the map, 128 meters, you will see the other survivors that are injured. The second pro that Empathy has, yes, you can't see the killer while you have Empathy, but if someone first gets injured, you obviously know that the killer is onto that person. So if you just follow their aura around, you'll be able to know how long the chase is going on for, where the survivor is taking the killer on the chase, and if they're really close to you, but you see the killer is just tunneling the survivor and not even worrying about the gen next to them, you can stick it. So it's really useful when doing gens, especially at the beginning of the game. You know if you can stick your first gen and how far the killer is away from you at the start of the game. So as you can see in this clip, this is a prime example of using my awareness at the very beginning of the game. Right there on the left side, you can see when that first person gets injured, and yes, they are super close, but that killer is just going to be looping that survivor, so you're all good and you're chilling. And I was able to finish that first gen with no panic. The third pro is that if the killer is injuring a lot of people, for example a Legion, Empathy is the perfect perk against him. You basically get to see the survivors and what they're doing pretty much the entire match if it's against a killer like Legion. For example, in this clip you can see while I'm on the gen, I see all three of the people even though they're super far away, and one person is getting chased, one person is healing, and one person is just running to a gen or something. So it gives you really good information on whether you should be continuing doing the gen or if you should be helping someone out. I don't have a clip of this, but if there's only 2 gens, for example, and you're just starting a brand new gen, but you see another injured person working on a gen, maybe you could go help them out and finish this gen quicker as a team. So the first con that Empathy has is that yes, you can get a killer that injures a lot of people like Legion, but you could also get a killer that doesn't injure a lot of people like Michael Myers. When the killer is not injuring a lot of people, whether it's because that's just not their playstyle with the killer they chose or they're just not that good, then this perk kind of becomes useless because you don't get any information out of it. Another instance that Empathy is kind of useless is when the survivors insta heal. This is just generally a bad thing to do, especially against a killer that injures a lot. If they insta heal, you won't get to see what they're doing a lot and you just won't get information out of it. Finally, this is a minor con, but I kind of wanted to just mention it. This is a teachable, unlike Kindred, that's just a regular perk that everybody has. So if Claudette isn't your main survivor and you want to use Empathy, you're gonna have to go through the entire blood web pretty much to unlock it. Moving on to Kindred, the first pro that this perk has is that you get to see the killer within that aura no matter what. First off, you get to see where the killer is leaving after they hook someone, and you get to see what direction they're going in, so you get a good idea of where they're going or what gen they're going to. You also get to see if the killer is face camping or not, so in the end game it's really useful to see if the killer dashes off to what exit they're going to or if they face camp, so you can gather up and heal and then go back to get the survivor. You also get to see them if they come back to the hook. For example, in this clip I was about to go pick this person up, but the hag came in all of a sudden. If I hadn't had Kindred, I wouldn't have seen that and I would have just gotten down. But with Kindred, I was able to hide and then safely unhook her. You also get to see if the killer places any traps around the hook. So for example, in this clip, you can see while I'm working on this gen, the hag hooks the survivor and then she places traps. So I know that I have to be stealthy when I go unhook that person. Another pro that Kindred has is that you get to see every survivor's aura while that person is hooked. If you're working on a gen and you see that nobody else is going to grab the person, you can definitely go, and that gives you good information. But if somebody's already going, instead of having two people run to them like you probably would have without Kindred, you can just stick the gen and make so much more progress in the game. Another pro that Kindred has is that if you get hooked, everybody else gets Kindred. They get to see the killer and they get to see the other survivors' auras, so it's really good for communication and for efficiency too, so two survivors don't have to come get me. For example, in this clip, Kate knew she was able to come get me because she saw the killer leave, and everybody else stuck the gens that they were on, or they just kept doing whatever they were doing because they saw that Kate was actually coming to get me. First con that Kindred has, this isn't really a super big con, but if the killer is super bad or they just don't hook a lot of people until like the very end of the game, then you don't get any use out of this perk. Another con that Kindred has is that yes, if more than two people in your trial are running Kindred, you actually do see a greater aura for the killer, but it's kind of a wasted perk slot if you're playing Survivor with friends and you know more than two people in your lobby have it, because if that one person gets hooked, then everybody else has Kindred, so it's kind of wasted if two people have it. All right, so moving on to my pick, I think the better perk of the two is Kindred. You get so much information from Kindred when someone gets hooked. You get to first directly see the killer and if he's placing any traps down or where he's going next, or if he's face camping, and if he's coming straight at you, you know you need to run. Everybody in the trial benefits from it because if you get hooked, then everybody gets the perk unlocked and they get to see the killer's next steps too, and one person only needs to come get you and they know that. Overall, if you're a solo queue person or even in Survivor with friends, this perk is so useful and makes overall communication so much better. I think the biggest thing that makes Kindred better than empathy is that you do get to see the killer's exact next steps in exact what direction, and if you have good game awareness, you know which gen they'll be going to, so it's just such good information overall. So yeah guys, that's been the video. Let me know in the comments whether you like Kindred or empathy better and why. I'd love to hear your guys' input on this, and as usual, let me know any other perks you'd like me to compare next. So yeah guys, that's been the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you're new. This has been Sharpshot, and I will see you guys in the next video.